humans, welcome to Corey's Spectra Services YouTube channel. So as always, my goal here is to provide you information, possibly skills and information how to create your better life. So today what we're going to be talking about is authenticity, how to be your true self. And this can be a challenge for many people, living in this world where we, push people into materialism, buying things, getting into that job that we hate. And are we really happy? For most of us, the answer is no, right? We're not in the relationships we like. We're having friends that aren't making us happy. They aren't supporting us. We're not in a job that we enjoy. And are we wearing the clothes that we love? All of these things are part and parcel of what it means to be authentic. As a trans person, this is something I've been on a journey of self-discovery on multiple levels of trying to figure out who I am and what I'm about. And one of the things I've really found, and it's not just about this gender and sexuality, it's all these other pieces that make me who I am, being authentic, honest in the moment. Am I doing the work that I want to do? And in that journey, I've certainly found that the more I step into who I am, the more happier I am, right? And it doesn't mean you don't have challenges outside, because as you step into authenticity, who you are, not everyone is going to understand you, right? So that means sometimes you have to let people go. Sometimes you have to let jobs go. Sometimes you have to take a risk to jump off that cliff to really step into who you are. And you know what the fact is? It is scary as hell. It's very scary to step into that. For many people, when I've worked with trans people, just taking that step to come into a trans support group to say, I want to meet other people like myself, is a scary step, because it means that they're making an honest step to explore who they are. It makes it real. And what are those consequences? And this can be true for anything in our lives, right? To really own up to something that maybe we've done in our life, whether wrong or right. These are things that can be really scary. And so some of the things that we can do in order to look at how we can step into that authenticity. So I think everything, we can pull apart all the different pieces that we can look at ourselves in terms of what it means to be authentic. Like I mentioned, sexuality, gender, we can talk about clothes, we can talk about a job, all of those things. And the best way to do this first is sit down with yourself and ask yourself, are you happy with that relationship? Are they supporting you and supporting who you are? The little quirks that you do, right? We all have quirks. Right now, like I like making strange, funny voices, right? This is part of what I do. It's strange. Not everybody understands it. It might even annoy some people, right? But that's how I keep saying. When I'm walking around the house, I'll make noises, I'll, be strange, right? And so are the people around you okay with that? Those kind of things. Are they supportive of the clothes you wear? So for one of the things we often talk about, what is the clothes that's in style? What does in style really mean? In style means someone else's style that you're putting on. It's not about, so that's not your style, right? And that's the question, what is your style? What is the clothes that you want to wear? For me, I often wear, other than today, I'm kind of wearing a little bit of a professional clothes in order to do this. But what I usually wear is a little bit more hippie, right? A little bit more, what's the word? It's almost archetypal. in terms of the clothes I wear because it fits who I am. So I am a bit of a hippie, right? And so that's the kind of clothes I wear. I'm also very spiritual, so the things I wear reflect that kind of thing. And maybe that's not true for you, but find what resonates with you. So some people are really into elephants. So they like wearing elephant jewelry, earrings or whatever, right? And that emphasizes who they are. And so each of these things we can break down. And if we're in a situation where we're not happy, we can ask, why am I not happy in this? What is not resonating with me? If it's a job, am I just not enjoying the job? Am I just there for the money? Right? We can start asking ourselves these questions to start unraveling what is it that I really want. And one of the things that we can really do is ask ourselves, what are our values? So for me, I really value honesty. I really value integrity. I really value, does the work I do honor the earth, for example? Does it respect other people I work with? Right? Does it respect the clients I work with? Is it, in the work I do, I need to be holistic, right? So looking at the whole person, looking at many ways and modalities that can find a way to support an individual. So that's how I work. If I worked for a counseling agency, some agencies would be very medical model. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you align with. But for me, I don't align with that, so I would not be happy there, right? You see kind of the difference that's happening. And so when we start to break those pieces down, we're already starting to unravel and say, oh, this is kind of where I want to be more, or this is where I want to look like. And so we're already starting to go down that road. Now, one of the things is that blocks us from being authentic is fear. Fear is a scary thing, right? If we start walking down that path, we're scared of losing that job, right? And we need those jobs in order to pay the bills. We want to have our friends, right? That's scary, losing them. But one of the things I have really discovered is that when you start walking down that path, you may lose those friends or that job even. And the job is a little bit more complicated, and if that's something that you're really worried about, there's some strategies we can work around that. But let's say, for example, your friends. It can be painful, it can be sad, because maybe you've been these friends for a long time, but they haven't been honoring who you are for whatever that looks like. But when you let them go, and you're really being who you are, the amazing and almost magical thing that happens is that other people will gravitate to you because they're looking for exactly who you are and what you represent. Kind of the quirkiness, whether you're a nerd, whether you're into this or that, whatever, they're looking for that. But when we're in another relationship, they're looking for that, but you've blocked them because you're denying your authentic self, so they can't be friends with you. It's one of those interesting things. But once you step into that authentic and say, I want to really... So for example, I'm really into Star Trek. And so I blocked that for such a long time. And not everyone's into that, and that's fine. So in terms of Star Trek, when I started to really embrace my nerdiness, loving those aliens and all of those things from Star Trek, it was interesting. I started connecting with other people who were into Star Trek too. And I started to talk about the things that I really enjoyed. Because I like to talk about, Star Trek is about diversity and asking the big questions and things like that, which I love. And so I started gravitating those kind of people into my life and playing silly games and having fun and like honoring my kid self, my inner child, and all of these things kind of just started to happen. And it was really fun. And this leads into, because sometimes things like that, certain parts of ourselves that we're shamed. Or we're not supposed to like those kind of things because that's what kids like. Or, whatever those beliefs are. And this is the other thing we need to get through, is challenging those beliefs. And part of that, those beliefs come with shame and guilt about being whatever we are. And so, in so doing, this is the process of really coming to terms with what's called a radical self-love. Okay? So radical self-love is when, so maybe we are like a quality. I know one of the spiritual gurus out there, I can't remember her name, but she talks about how she's a bitch. Okay, this is a quality, personality quirk she has. And she had to learn how to really love that part of herself. Not push it down, hide it away, but acknowledge that it was there and love it. And in so doing, she started to learn how to pull it out when she needed to. So if someone was being a jerk towards her, sometimes she's going to have to bring out the bitchiness, right? And other times, because she loved it and was aware of it, she could also put it aside when it wasn't appropriate to bring out that side. And I'm sure she's not perfect at it. No, none of us are. On other things, like being, a nerd, a Star Trek person, to really love that part of myself, to have no shame. So when I'm talking to other people about being a nerd, being a spiritualist, being trans, pansexual, whatever it is, to really say, I love those parts of myself, and really step into that. Because when you really step into that power, because it is power, when you really love yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. You're still who you are, and you're okay. It just flows off you. So, for example, when I'm walking down the street, and as a trans person, someone could call me fag, some nasty thing like that. And so unless I'm having a bad day, because we all do, it's not going to bother me. Because I know who I am and I love myself. And nothing anyone else can say can damage that. Unless I let them. And this is the powerful thing. When you really love yourself, it's almost like you have this barrier, this shield around you, right? And nothing can get through. Because you also acknowledge that they're not in their authentic self, right? And if they're not in their authentic self, you can have a bit of compassion to say, you know what? They're probably suffering because they haven't figured out what you've figured out. And let them be. Right? This is the powerful thing about this. It's also about compassion, not just for yourself, but for other people. And to close this up, I really want to say, in our today's world, one of the biggest things that we can do is step into that authentic self. When we start doing that, the world starts transforming. We're not just doing a job because out of survival. We're not just having friends or relationships because it is expected. And we can do a whole video on that. All of those things, when people start really living their authentic lives, we make different choices because we're doing it out of the love of, because we want to be doing that, because we want to connect, because we want to make those changes in our lives, because we want to create change in the world, because I believe our core self is love and compassion for each other in this world. And when we move away from that, it's interesting how much anger and resentment we have towards each other. But when we step into that, those things naturally fall away and we naturally connect. We naturally start to listen. And it's this It's magic. And I don't think there's any other way to say that. Alright, so saying all that, I hope this video was really helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. If you want to connect to more videos, please press subscribe and check out my website. Thank you so much.